Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Technology Evangelist podcast. I'm Dr. John Fluke, Technology Evangelist, and we are sponsored in this endeavor by Medidenta Digital. They make some great products. They make some great resins, but they make a lot of other things. So be sure to check them out. Today, this is going to be super cool because I've got the good fortune of talking to a doctor who knows AI forward and backwards. She actually told me she dreams in AI. So we're gonna learn a lot about artificial intelligence today. Everybody, let me introduce to you Dr. Kathryn Alderman. Kathryn, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, and thank you for being here. I had a privilege of meeting you a few months ago, and I know how knowledgeable and experienced you are about technology and how passionate you are to bring the right technology to the dentist. So my goal today is no fluff, absolutely no fluff. My goal today is to give practical strategies that dentists can use to solve a burning problem. So I would love to talk about burning problems today and the solutions we have available right now to solve those problems. How do you think, what do you think of that flow?
I think that's a perfect flow. And we were talking right before we went official here that I told you that I think nowadays, if you walked up to most dentists and you said artificial intelligence or you said AI, what do you think of? And I think the majority of people say, oh yeah, you can use that to look at radiographs. And I think some other people might say, yeah, and I go on Chat GPT sometimes for things. But that's really it. So yeah, Kathryn, let's get into this. Where are you seeing AI being implemented and what's it doing right now? Because that's the thing. We're going to talk about what's available, not what, oh, 6 years from now, it'll, fry your eggs. We're going to talk about what it's doing today. So give me kind of a little low. Oh, hang on a minute. Before we do that, I apologize. Before we do that, I always start off with an origin story. So I think people are really fascinated by how people got to where they are in their lives. So what I want you to do, Kathryn, is just go back as far as you want and tell me what got you into dentistry, what got you into this whole thing of artificial intelligence. I really want to hear that side of your story.
Okay, so I'm gonna be really quick because my story is super cool, but I will be really quick. Imagine I'm a teenage mom. I'm a young immigrant mother from Russia. I don't speak English. I don't have money. And I'm at a homeless shelter with my child. I have a
Wow.
9 months old and I'm at a homeless shelter. And I'm just freaked out because all of my family is back home in Russia. I don't have money to call my family. I don't have money to take a taxi. I don't have any money. I don't speak English. So
Wow.
I stayed for about 3 days in a homeless shelter, holding my 9 months old child. And then I walked, and then I was able to have a good friend to come and get me because I couldn't stay. It was awful to be in a homeless shelter. Anyway, after 3 days of staying there, somebody was able to come and get me. And when I walked out of a homeless shelter, I said, I will live my best life. I will get an education. I will empower myself with knowledge, and I will never be in this situation again. And that's what I did. That's exactly what I did. I went and got biochemistry degree with a math minor. Then I became a dentist. And I became a dentist not because I love teeth. I have to be honest, I don't love teeth. I love people. I don't love
Right.
teeth. I became a dentist because I had a child and I couldn't go through medical residency. And dentistry was such a good solution because I'm still taking care of patients. But what I was really passionate always about is science, math, and business and people. So when AI came out, it was a natural transition for me to go from clinical dentistry and a business management of dentistry to creating AI tools and supporting dentists and supporting people that work in dentistry. So after I was a dentist and running multiple dental locations for 20 years, I decided that AI allows me just a lot more to support my own practices, my own teams, and to support my clients. And now I just think this is the best way to be supported and to provide support. And I'm not saying that AI is the future anymore. It's not. It's a present. It's everywhere.
Right.
It's a present. So AI and I do believe that, going back to the homeless shelter, that AI actually became my best supporter in my whole life of literally feeling challenges, becoming strong, powerful woman, getting education, being a mother, being a life partner, being a practice owner, being a leader. I always was feeling some kind of a struggle. How about that? I was
Yeah.
always feeling struggles that comes with a motherhood, running dental practices, seeing patients. There was always a big challenge that was on my plate. Since AI came out, I have the best supporter. I have the best support system, and it's not a human system, it's an AI system. AI agents are here to support me all the time, 24/7, and I love it. And I want this for everybody else. I want to make it easy, and I want everybody else to understand how can AI support them, not just in an office, not just in a dental practice, but outside of practice as well. Because you remember when I walked out of a homeless shelter, I said I will live my best life. So AI came and allowing me to live my ultimately best life. So that's
You
why I share the story with you.
Well, and that's beautiful because, I think we kind of are at a point. I think about AI a little bit like I think about the mobile phone, is that mobile phones came out and, at first they were in cars and a lot of people didn't have them. But then it kind of migrated. But really, when the iPhone came out, there were people that were just used to a phone. And everywhere they went, they'd probably have like a flip phone with them. But then suddenly a phone came along where it's like, oh, I need to book a flight. And you would say, you can do that from your phone. And in the early days, people would be like, what? How do you do that? And then it became like, oh, I need a ride. You know what? You can do that on your phone. I don't have to go wave my arm at a taxi. No. And now nobody even thinks about it. When you go to do something, probably if you're 40 and under, you don't even reach for a computer, you reach for a phone. It's just become so integrated into our lives. And I think that's kind of where we're poised as a society right now with artificial intelligence. Is right now people are like, oh, I think I can do that, or I think I can do that. But the grasp is that it can do a lot more things for you than you realize, and probably in, I don't know, with adoption, maybe faster than 10 years. But I think in 10 years, people will be like, do you remember when we used to have to, and it'll be like, look something up in a dictionary, or own a set of encyclopedias that nobody has anymore. Is that where you kind of see this whole thing going?
Yeah, so I love to say this. So this is my cell phone, and this is what we're looking at in the next few years, not even 10 years. That's what my team is working on. That's what Meta is working on. That's what Apple is working on. We're all
Mhm.
working on that. All the AI experts, we're all working on that. This is what we're working on. We will get up in the morning and say, hey, Angie, I need to schedule a medical appointment, and I also need to pay my bills to Wells Fargo, and I also need to call LAS to find out why there is a bill for my electrical and why is it so much higher this month. Oh, by the way, my upper left tooth is really hurting me and I hate dentists. Oh, and I don't want to go anywhere where it's just where the dentist may not be the most gentle. So find me somebody that can baby me. This is what it's gonna be in the next 3 to 5 years, the most, probably faster. And Angie is gonna be your personal AI agent that is gonna be connected with all other AI agents from LAS, electrical company, from your potential dentist or airline or a bank. This is what we're looking at, where the phones just will have our personal AI agents. How cool is that?
That is, I mean, we think about the amount of time that would save, the amount of effort that that would save. I mean, we all have, I think we all have experts in our lives that do certain things for us.
Yeah.
And, in the old days of, I can remember seeing movies or watching TV shows where there was an executive and he would always have a secretary and he would be like, Susan, I need a haircut. And and I need to be out of the office by 4, so I'm gonna need a cab. And yeah, I need to see my dentist or whatever. And then a human being would go off and they would do all that, make all those decisions and come back and go, here you go. So you're actually seeing a world where that's all going to be automated for us, and you won't need anybody else.
Well, and I don't just see it. It's not a vision, it's a reality.
Okay.
That's what we're working on. That's where we working on. And again, there is we're progressing on it pretty fast. That's a vision of CEO of a ChatGPT. That's a vision of Mark Zuckerberg at
Hmm.
Facebook. That's a vision of my company and my team. That's really, we're all working on the same things. And you can hear a lot about agentic AI. And agentic AI
Hmm.
is a big overused word. Oh, it's so overused. Everybody says agentic AI, and it's really overused. But what agentic AI means is that soon, in appropriate areas of our life, in appropriate areas, not overly
Hmm.
sensitive areas, we can have agentic AI agents do tasks for us. And what is appropriate areas? Something that is not critical to our health, well-being, and our financials, and maybe doesn't require high level of security or privacy. Do you see?
Hmm.
So that's really where we're going to be using a lot more of agentic AI, which meaning those agents can do that for us. But let's take it to dentistry. Let's focus on
Yeah.
that's really happening. It's going to be here. And I'm confident because I know that's what we're working on. That's what we all working on right now. And we're getting to be pretty good at it. We're really getting great results. But let's talk about dentistry. If dentists are listening to us, what is a big tell me, I think there is six big problems in dentistry, and you probably can relate to all of them. From your view, what problems do we have? The biggest six problems in dentistry right now. And then we can talk about solutions that dentists
Sure.
can use right now.
Off the top of my head, the first two that pop in, I think, are probably scheduling and probably handling phone calls, um, insurance verification, and not just when I say insurance verification, I don't mean simply I want to do a crown on tooth number 14. How much is that going to cover? But more of, the whole thing. Yes, they have a policy. Here are the parameters of it for all those sort of things. I think those are probably just three off the top of my head that I can think of.
You're completely right. So that's the biggest three ones. The next one is a case acceptance, then
Yep.
marketing visibility, and just
Hmm.
overall HR problem. How do we find
Right.
people? So let's go through that. Let's go through those
Yeah.
problems. That's really what I have. So problem number one, let's start with the most obvious one, case acceptance. The
Yes.
patient who come to see us and really dental patients not often don't trust us because they cannot see what we telling them.
Right.
So that's really they just cannot trust us. So that's where AI diagnostic becomes very helpful because it works as a second opinion. And sadly,
Mhm.
patients trust AI more than they trust us.
I believe that. I really do. I mean, I've always said for years, Kathryn, that and I've told this to patients, I said, the weird thing about what we do, um, from a patient standpoint is you can't see what we're doing. You can't communicate with us while we're doing it, other than maybe hand signals, but people can't talk while we're doing things. And then plus, we're in their bubble. We're like 12 to 18 inches from them the entire time. And that's disconcerting enough. But when you put in I'm scared and I can't see, I'm scared and I can't ask, that just compounds the whole situation for a lot of people.
and there is no pain. Most dental diseases don't have pain. Gum
Right.
disease, cavities, they don't have pain. So patients don't see it, don't feel it, and they don't want to be at our office. So because of that, AI diagnostic becomes extremely important in getting the trust by having a visual and a proof that patients can understand and relate to. So I would say number one is to solve that problem of a case acceptance is show visual consistency. Your hygienist, your doctors, your clinical assistants, everybody should be using AI diagnostics and colors to show
Right.
to patients the problems that they're seeing and AI is confirming.
Well, I've probably told this story on the podcast before, but you don't know this. So my undergraduate degree is in psychology, and I didn't realize actually when I got the degree how handy it would be in dentistry. I just took it because I found it interesting, but there's been a lot of studies done that show between 82 to 85% of what human beings perceive and learn about their environment comes through their eyes, and about 10% of that comes through their ears. And I have been a huge fan of visual communication, gosh, ever since the first intraoral cameras came out, because finally, in the 90s, you could take a picture and you could show a patient this is what the problem is. And then they could understand it, but you could talk to them until, until you're, as they say, blue in the face, and it really wouldn't have had the same impact. And we all see patients that you say, okay, yes, I'm looking at your radiographs and you have a cavity here. And, it's still, even as we're talking today, there's still a certain percentage of the population that says, well, it doesn't hurt. I never
Yeah.
knew there was anything there. And if they don't know you very well and you haven't established that personal communication, that personal bond, they don't know who to trust. But you show it to them on a screen, and that area of decay is now highlighted, that they can understand. And I think also you're right when you say, and this is the AI analysis of the X-ray, people trust that much more than they trust human beings because machines don't have ulterior motives in things.
You got it. You got it. And another thing I think we have to keep in mind, going back to my homeless shelter days, we live in
Yes.
a country where we have a lot of foreign people, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
foreign patients, and we may, as a doctors, have an accent. So as a doctor, I learned that I have an accent, and now I have other patients coming in with an accent as well. I better use visuals, otherwise it's a
Yeah.
circus, That's so really, so that really helps as well because we live in a country where we work with a lot of foreign patients. So when we use an
Yes.
visuals, they can see it, they can understand it, they can have more control, and they can accept that needed treatment and recommend the treatment better. And especially if we are a foreign doctor, that helps us as well to use those visuals as well, so we can be. And again, this is just something that we have to be aware of in America. That's
Well,
helps us.
when I got out of school, for the first 5 years I was in private practice, I volunteered at a free health clinic here in the Kansas City area. And I remember one visit, we had a lady come in, and she was from Iran. She brought her son. Her son spoke Farsi, which is, the Iranian language, and he spoke German. We had a dental assistant that volunteered there who spoke German and she spoke English. And just by crazy luck, the mom could tell her son in Farsi, he could tell the dental assistant in German, and he could tell me in English. And the communication just for that one appointment was crazy because you're hopping back and forth, and both with photos. And then the other great thing is with, the translation things now that we have, that you can, tell an agent, I'm going to have two speakers, English and Russian, and then have it do that translation on the fly while you talk to them and show them pictures. And that's almost like communicating to each other in the same language.
And I love that you said it. That brings us another tools that we can use in the AI. So what can we
Sure.
use today? If we simple, obviously AI diagnostic costing us money. I would say spend the money, well worth it. What else can we do for case acceptance today? Use ChatGTP. Use ChatGTP. And how can you use ChatGTP? Hygienists can use it, doctors can use it. You can actually dictate and use a voice memo in a chat GTP and say, hey, this patient came in and she's diagnosed with a gum disease and a multiple cavities. Create a friendly treatment plan in Russian that she can take home. That's it. That takes literally, it will take you all 2 minutes the most to look at the treatment plan, put it in a Google Doc or put it in a Word and print it out for the patient to take home. And when you're talking to ChatGPT, you don't have to say the name of a patient, but now
Right.
we help the patient to understand that needed treatment and to really understand what we talked about. Do you remember those little notes that medical doctors use to write summary? We can do
Yes.
that. The best summary in any language we want to speak and give it to the patient. Can you imagine how much more patients will appreciate our services and have a better understanding of their clinical needs? Can you believe it? Isn't it amazing?
It is amazing. I've been in a lot of offices in my career, and some doctors, actually, just maybe some offices in general, some offices are great communicators and others aren't. I actually was in an office one time and I heard the doctor doing a hygiene exam, and he said, well, you've got a fracture on the mesial marginal ridge of tooth number 3, and it looks like it's progressing down the ridge and into the interproximal area, and then probably across to the central pit. So I think what we need to do is reduce this tooth and then put a full coverage restoration on. And, that made perfect sense to another dentist, but it certainly didn't make perfect sense to the patient. And sometimes even just our professional language is truly a foreign language. Every job has its own lingo or its own language. And I think even be able to translate that into a friendly, indication for people that speak your language is a great tool to let people understand what they need in their own terms. I'll tell you another funny story. I went to a course years ago when I was brand new, and it was on Crown and Bridge. And the doctor giving the course said, you never ever use the word temporary. They are interim restorations, because if you call it a temporary, there's no value in that. And an interim restoration indicates the value and the time that you spend on it. So the next week, I went back to my office, and every person that needed one, I said, we're going to place an interim restoration. Every one of them said, what's that? And I said, well, some
It's a
people call them temporary. And I remember I had one older gentleman that said, well, if that's what everybody else calls it, why don't you call it that? That's just dumb. And so I went back to placing temporaries. But it's just funny how that communication thing can play such a big part in what we do.
And that's actually, let's go through the next problem because that's
Okay.
actually what translates. So the first problem is that the case acceptance. Again, that's a
Mhm.
part of communication. AI
Yeah.
really helps us. Second problem is revenue cycle management and really collecting from patients. And really, when we talk about collecting from patients, that's a very sensitive area, and especially now
Yes.
people feel dentistry is very expensive, even if they have dental insurance. So this is where AI comes very handy. Number one, what can AI do today? So AI can really become the best assistant of a treatment coordinator. Because as a treatment coordinator, you really can use AI to create a simple treatment plan that patients can understand in their language. So you can literally upload the PDF of a treatment plan and say, hey, create a simple treatment plan that patients can understand using human words that a patient can understand. And now we have a simple treatment plan. You don't want to upload the patient's name, but if there is no name, you can upload it, you can create it.
Sure.
Now think about it. AI has helped you to create the best, the easiest to understand treatment plan that patients can take home to their loved ones. But here's what AI can do too. AI can help to calculate fees and create a financial summary of what the treatment can cost as well, which is invaluable. But then
Yes.
I think my favorite part about AI right now, where we can really should be using it, no brainer, no brainer. Every office should be using diagnostic AI and this next AI tool, finding out insurance benefits, because our teams don't like that job. They don't have
Right.
time for this job. And it's a very important job to communicate to patients so we can collect the money that we need and not to surprise patients. Patients don't like financial surprises.
Agreed.
They don't. So this is really important that now AI is helping us to create treatment plans. It's helping us to calculate fees. But now AI can help to get those benefits regardless of how busy the office. The AI can help with benefits like that. And then the patients now can really know the cost and avoid those surprises. And our team loves it. I think this is a really one area where patients benefit from that,
Hmm.
teams benefit from that, dental practice and a dental CEO or owner of a practice benefit from that. This is one area, it's a win-win-win-win. It's like I feel everybody in the office benefits from revenue cycle management being improved with the AI. That's how I feel about AI. Not I feel, I seen the results. I seen the numbers that is just, it creates that system of verifying insurance benefits and helping to collect the needed co-pays and avoid upsetting patients by giving surprises. So I feel that this is a very strong area where AI should be implemented and used and utilized.
Well, and that's a great point, Kathryn, because most offices that are successful have one employee at the front desk that knows the world of dental insurance. I mean, we've got a lady in my office named Becky, and I always tell patients if they number one, I never discuss finances with patients. That's just not who I am. But if they ever have any questions, I just always say, Becky, she's forgotten more about insurance than I've ever known. And, she's the shell answer man of dental insurance. And it's awesome. But she's busy. Plus, heaven forbid, if you're a doctor and you've got a successful practice and you've got a 2 or 3 person team in your administrative area, and that insurance genius has to leave for whatever reason, or if they're sick,
Oh, it just gives
what
me all, yeah,
yeah, yeah,
and
what do
you
you
know,
do?
we've all been there. John, we all been there. Every one of us been there. Again, even if we have AI helping us with revenue cycle management, we still need back in our office. We're not replacing that.
Yes,
But
right.
but we have a consistency in the system. We have a consistency. We have a support system that is not going to leave us. It's right
Yeah,
there to use it. And Becky still needs to be there to supervise that AI agent. But let's say Becky leaves. We still can function and our patients are not suffering. For example,
yes,
I wasn't that role, I wasn't that position where I would have to tell patients, I'll get back to you, you
right.
know, and,
Yeah,
and, and when you get back to them, now it's phone calls, emails, unfinished treatment plans, and patients are just not scheduling because I didn't have those benefits ready and I didn't have those
right.
financial discussed carefully and right there on the spot. So we need Becky. But if we have Becky and AI agents working together, again, the team is benefiting, the doctor's benefiting, the patients are benefiting, everybody is benefiting, including Becky.
Yeah. And that I think is one of the great things. What I'm really excited about is that I've always said, and I believed in my soul, that dentistry is a relationship business. You have to have that trust and respect relationship from the patient to the doctor and the doctor to the patient and from the patient to everybody else on the team. And I agree with you. This whole thing of I don't look for AI systems to come in and replace people. I look for AI systems to do the drudgery or to be as smart as some of the people. But at the same time, it takes those people away from the drudgery and it lets them interact with other humans so that they have better relationships. If I have an AI agent that can look at a cone beam or a pano and do the charting, then that's 5 minutes or 10 minutes. I'm not clicking around with a mouse in the chart. I can talk to the patient. And even if we're not talking about dentistry, I'm building the relationship as opposed to when you go into, I think, you tell me if I'm wrong on this, but I think this is it. I think medicine is actually worse off than we are in that regard because I feel like whenever I go into a medical appointment, there's either a computer in the treatment room or they're carrying a tablet. And then as they're trying to talk to me, they're, typing away, typing away, typing away. And it's hard to have a conversation. So I think being able to have relationships, I think is a great thing.
John, and I think I tell it to everybody. I tell it to everybody. And, because I present a lot to dental teams,
Sure.
and the dental teams have that fear, will AI replace me? And
Mm.
I just start laughing. And this is why. When do you see dental office that has too many people in it, too many team members?
That's
We
so true.
we are chronically short on people. We are chronically short on marketing team, leadership team, accounting team. We are chronically short on revenue cycle management specialist, communication specialist, follow up with unscheduled treatment specialist, customer
Yeah.
service specialist. We are short on all roles, always. That's a
One of
and
my
yeah.
one of my things that I would do is that we would hire. I always said I'd rather be an employee heavy than an employee light. And we frequently would hire somebody who knew a little bit about front office, also knew dental assisting, and the job was called Rover. And you went where you were needed. And Rover is always busy because there's always something to do. And you're right. You're right. We're chronically understaffed. And it's so hard now. Since COVID, the turnover in offices has been pretty consistent. Or employees don't seem to stay as long. And finding good people that have a lot of skills. So if you can relieve that burden of some of those skills and let them either be trained or be able to do something other than the drudgery, that's like a dream come true for me.
Well, John, that brings us to another third problem that we wanted to talk about, burning
Yeah.
problem and labor and a human factor. So my
Mhm.
answer is actually surprise you how AI can help on that. Number one, AI can help us to analyze our problems with HR. That's really because a lot of times we may not feel comfortable talking to somebody. But
Right.
if start, let's say we have a chat GTP. Chat GTP is great for that. You start a conversation with chat GTP and you're honest about problems that you're experiencing. You really say that, hey, I have a high turnover. This is what's happening. You actually will be surprised about advice that it gives you or asks for additional information. So that's number one, how to use AI. But number two, using AI solutions in your office and letting our team members know, hey, I'm here to support you, will go a long way. Our humans want to feel supported. So a lot of times, this is my big point. This is my big point that I want to make. AI is changing how we're functioning. Should we be changing as a leader too? Should we be changing? Why don't we look why do we have people constantly leaving us? What is it in our systems and operations? What are we not doing? What can we do better? Or maybe we don't need all these people. Maybe we don't need a hygienist. Maybe we don't need this big stuff. Maybe it's time to resize our office, redo the procedures that we're doing. Maybe it's time to remodel yourself if you're miserable and and AI is here to change and give you basically new life. Why not to use AI to figure out what can you change and do differently? Because if you're miserable every day because of a shortage of a people or people not trained enough, I would say pause, start analyzing what is wrong
Mhm.
because and change it. And AI is great on that. Truly, AI is safe because you can actually talk about your problems, analyze, share your problems, share you numbers, and there is no embarrassment. Nobody will judge you. Nobody
Right.
will you can talk about it and truly it becomes your emotional financial consultant. It really becomes your consultant that you can talk to decide what is my next step because I'm miserable, I'm burned out. So what is my next steps that I can do to really change in the next 90 days, 120 days? That's my and again, like there is other things you can do for HR. You can create training materials, systems, operations. Yes, you can do that. You can bring AI for your team. But number one, if you are miserable, ask AI, ask it to consult you, and now start creating your personal plan, your personal execution plan on how to live your best life, and the office is being an addition and complementing that most beautiful life you can have instead of taking that energy and time out of you. What do you think of that, John?
Yeah, I love that. And as you were saying that, I was thinking to myself, um, you know, if you go to a brick and mortar, I'm going to have to use a brick and mortar store as an example for this one. You could probably use Amazon as well. But if you went to a brick and mortar bookstore and you walked around and you went to the section for like business, you would see, rows and rows of books on how to be an effective manager, how to handle difficult employees, how to be more productive in your day. I mean, people, it, it seems to me like most dentists read a lot of those books because we don't get that training in school. We kind of have to figure it out as we go. And so most people that I know that are in dentistry have a whole bookshelf full of these books to help them be better at the business part of their business, whether that's managing employees or revenue cycle management or whatever it is. But you could have a problem in your office and say to yourself, okay, I know in the last year I read a book that covers this. I got to figure out which book it is. Then I've got to go through it. I've got to try to find the passage. And yet, when you have a system that has access to every book, and you can simply say, here's my problem, I need a solution, or I'm having trouble with like revenue cycle management. And here are my numbers. Give me a 6-month plan on how to improve that. And these systems can do that for you because they've got access to all this info that you might be able to dig it up yourself, but it'd take you weeks to do it.
And you can't. As a humans, I may not have the read that book, and every situation is different. Every
Right.
office is different, every day is different. And sometimes, John, we are humans. We get tired. We are
Yeah.
busy. We're doing a root canal on number 14. The tooth is bleeding. The patient is nervous. And we got a 2 weeks notice that day. We are humans. We just
Yes.
can take so much. And so it's really good to go into your room in those days and just you can ask and say, hey, this is how I feel. This is what's happening. You would be surprised. Like, I want more dentists to use it because it's a consultant at your fingertips. It's like your support system at your fingertips. And that's amazing. Well, and again, and it's becoming better and better and better. And remember, um, ChatGPT is really generative intellect. So what it means that it's like picks up all this universal knowledge and gives you the best answer for your situation. It's amazing. So anyways, that's what I hear a lot of people online and saying, what do I do about shortage of hygienists or dentists or with all this AI? And I really want to say, actually use AI to talk about your situation because if you're miserable, start start revamping yourself, start
Yep.
changing
Yep.
because time to change because we've been given this opportunity to bring AI to change our lives. And really the days of a big offices and running all day long, that's maybe the days that are gone for a lot of dentists, and they're pretty close to being gone because we can do things differently. We can, maximize better on our energy time and the clinical hours that we have.
I had somebody not too long ago, wasn't on the pod here, but I was talking to a friend of mine, and they said, and they're using AI, and they're not in dentistry, but they're using AI a lot in their workplace. And they said to me, and I thought this was interesting, just and it kind of made me go there from this conversation we just had, which was he said, I think the next big like understanding for people is going to be what to put in the prompt, because the more information or the more succinctly way you tell the system what you need, the more succinct it will be. I was thinking when you were talking about kind of having the sum of all human knowledge out there, I think I think right now a fairly large number of people is that they sort of look upon things like Google Gemini and Chat GPT and all of these. They look upon them almost like a glorified search engine where you don't really give it a lot of detail. You just kind of say like, I need to buy rubber gloves. And then it goes out and goes bing, 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 but they don't think about the fact that you could tell it, I need sterile, sterile gloves, nitrile, size 8.5. I don't want to pay more than XYZ. The more info you give it, the more it pares it down. And I don't think a lot of people quite have that grasp of it yet.
Yeah, and I always say treat an AI agent, any AI agent as somebody new in your office. Let's say
That's a great way of putting it.
exactly. If somebody comes to your team, let's say temporary receptionist, you're not gonna say just confirm appointments. You're not gonna say just confirm appointments. You will
Mhm.
have to tell, you will have to say, Sarah, the way we confirm appointments, this is what we do. We have a block scheduling, and when we confirm appointments, this is the message that we give. This is the system we use to confirm appointments. And this is what happens when people don't confirm by this certain time. That's we have to give this little overview of how we do things. So I always say treat any agent like somebody new to your life. Explain to them what you're doing. For example, when I start a project, so when I'm training an AI agent, I talk to it and say, hey, are you ready to help me? And then I will say, this is what we have going on today. This is a project. This is a task that we have today. This is what I need you to be aware of. Do you understand what I need? And then it replies back to me and says, I need you. And again, this is what I'm going to do. Great. Let's do this. Now I'm going to give you stuff to do this. And you need to, again, it's like working with an employee. It's a working with an employee. And again, every AI agent I have is different. I'm in this specific case, I'm talking about LLM agents like ChatGPT or Cloudy or Gemini. But there are other agents I work with, and it's different, but it's the main point. We have to treat AI that AI is an intelligent, but AI doesn't know what we want unless we tell it clearly where we need help.
It doesn't have that inference. And I think it's interesting. If my wife and I went to a restaurant and we split a brownie for dessert, if we came home the next day and I said, you don't make brownies very much. Could you make, the next time you bake, could you make brownies? Well, what she's going to take from that, I think, would be, okay, he really liked the brownie we had at that restaurant. So let me see if I can find that recipe. Or she might say, okay, I know that brownie had powdered sugar on top, some walnuts, and some chocolate icing. But my whole point is, if you sit down at an AI agent and you say, I need a recipe for brownies, it doesn't realize you ate at a restaurant 2 days ago and that you really liked that brownie. It's that context that,
You got it.
yeah, we as human beings, we get the context all the time. If you could
Yes.
say to me, like your hair looks really great today. Or you could say your hair looks really great today, means something totally different. But if you just see it written, you have no comprehension. Was it a friendly comment? Was it a biting comment? And remembering that that's how the machines are, that they don't get context, that they don't know your personal history. I think, that's something people need to think about when they're using this.
And that's actually great, like a segue to our next problem,
Okay.
communication and really
Yeah.
communication in general. So where do we all struggle answering phone calls? And again, we work with the humans, so our humans physically cannot answer phone calls all the time and know all the questions. Even our human teams cannot know all the answers to all the questions potentially can ask. So how do we train, AI agents? Obviously, we have to give these good prompts, we have to give them information, but even our human teams cannot answer phone calls all the time, and they cannot type in answers super fast. They cannot type in emails really fast. Like, we're humans, we cannot do that. So this is where AI and humans can work really well together, because I believe every dental office should have a ChatGPT or a Cloudy LLM model on a desktop, because that's about the brand management. So now how can you use AI today? Number one, the team member can ask AI, hey, I have a difficult patient, the insurance didn't pay, help me to create a message that is kind, professional, and yet says it's your responsibility to pay. Think about it, Jen. For our human, that's an hour and a half. Plus, it all depends on their communication skills, their bringing, their professionalism. I don't want my humans to type those letters. I want
Right.
AI to type those letters and a human to oversee it to make sure it's not AI-ish. But that's number one. Can AI help to support our humans and really to to be helpful in supporting humans, supporting patients, starting today? That's $20 a month, professional
Yes.
ChatGPT model. The number two, answering phone calls. Answering phone calls. our humans cannot handle all phone calls. So I would say don't replace your human ever, because we talked about it. We talked about human interaction is very important, but have an AI answering phone calls anytime our human cannot answer by third ring. That's what we, and then have an AI transcribing all the human phone calls as well, because we want to make sure human is doing a good job answering. And if not, we can train, we can mentor. So use AI to help humans, but also use AI to transcribe those phone calls. So we have a record of those phone calls. And if our humans need a little bit more mentoring and
Yeah.
training. So I would say that AI is very important in that sense and improving that communication. And again, you don't have to, that's what do you think of that? And then we will move to next problem, which goes with that as well. But what do you think of that, John?
Yeah, I think that's great. You know, there's a couple of things about that that I really like is you mentioned, AI doesn't get rushed and AI doesn't get tired. And, you know, it doesn't have a bad day. It doesn't
No,
have an argument with their significant other on the phone as they went to work. And then they have to go in and 5 minutes later and, deal with maybe somebody that's a little aggressive on the phone about a bill or whatever. Um, you don't have to be concerned if AI only got 2 hours of sleep last night because they've got a new baby that was up and all that. Because I can tell you for sure, Kathryn, if I don't get adequate sleep, if I go 2 nights without adequate sleep on day three, you don't want to be around me because
they
my
won't for me.
temper is.
Yeah,
And so there's all those things that you have to factor in. I remember a story from a patient. We had a patient one time that called the office and was very upset, very upset. And then the next day she came into the office and she broke down in tears with the person she'd talked to. She said, I don't even know. It was like, I had a horrible day. I had this. My boss yelled at me. I think my teenage son wrecked his car or whatever. And the dental thing just happened to be in the middle of all that. And she was very upset. And that can happen on our end too. And you don't have to worry about those things. So yes, I think it's outstanding.
it is. It just improves communication on our team part. It allows us to be more accessible to the patients. And let's talk to another problem, being
Yeah.
accessible. What does it
Yes.
mean? Our patients want it now. They want
Mm,
Amazon shop in 24 hours. They want schedule appointment 24 hours. So if they have a dental emergency, they want it now. So this is where AI receptionist becomes very helpful, because AI receptionist can offer that I am here for you 24/7. Do you see?
yeah.
But else becomes very important. Our next burning problem, marketing and bringing new patients. John, no matter which office I talk to, and when we talk about implementing AI, every dental office tells me, not a dental office, dentist, every
Okay.
dentist,
Yeah.
I want more new patients, or I want better new patients. I want patients.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter. I can have a office that is on a lower end producing. I can have an office that is a multi-million dollar producing office. And every single dentist will say, I want different patients, or I want more patients. Do you see? So
Yeah.
that's the next point on how AI can help today. When we're talking about AI receptionist, we are capturing those missed phone calls and a potential patients calling us, because our patients are different, they're demanding. If you don't answer, they may be going to another Google map listing. They
Right.
may be going somebody else. We want to be available 24/7. We cannot do it with our human team, but we can with the AI receptionist. We can do that.
Yeah. You know, little link into this. Years ago, we started accepting online payments.
Mhm.
And that was a great thing for revenue cycle management. Just on this thing of being available, when we started doing that, after the first year, we went through and looked at some of the things, and the number of people that would pay their bills at 2 in the morning or midnight, you know, I mean, there were a lot of, it was a significant amount of revenue. And we weren't open to take that. They couldn't walk in and, hand the credit card to the staff at midnight or 2 a.m. But that was a really common thing. And occasionally I remember to say something to the patient about it, and they would say something about, oh yeah, well, I had to work the night shift those 2 weeks or whatever. But yeah, things don't just happen or don't just stop because you're not there. And being able to have a compassionate agent
Yeah.
answer the phone, understand their problem, kind of coach them through it a little bit, and then say, you're scheduled for 8:30 a.m. tomorrow or whatever, allay their fears. Yeah, that's tremendous benefit.
It is, and again, it's one of the areas that benefits everybody. It benefits
Yeah,
our human team, it benefits our patients, it benefits practice owner, it benefits everybody. It's a win-win-win situation to think about it. And it's so far we talked about the most beneficial areas, the most important areas. That's we talked
yeah,
about case acceptance, we talked about revenue cycle management, we talked about marketing conversions and
yeah,
communication of maybe not being the best or maybe not being there at all times, but our team members. So we talked about how AI can help. We also talked about how AI can be helpful in determining there's a next strategy or the next implementation step. And that leaves us one big problem that all offices feeling right now. That's actually where you shine, and a lot of offices don't have you there. So technology integration, John,
yes.
technology integration is a big problem because when we
It's a
talk about
huge
technology,
problem.
huge problems. Think about it. We already have so many isolated skills in a dental office, so many isolated tools. And now we're adding this AI talk, and dentists feeling FOMO and fear at the same
Hmm.
time. They don't know what technology problems they can implement. They become technology frozen.
Hmm. I've
So
seen
let's
that many
talk about it.
times.
How can AI? Here, we don't really have an AI solving that problem in a way. So how do I tell the teams to solve that? How do I come in and help people to solve
Yeah,
it? Number
tell
one,
us.
exactly. So when we talk about technology integration, I'm really proud to say I got my master's degree in leading organizations, medical organizations, and a technology change. That came together with my engineering education now, but
Right.
really, so I really have gotten good about understanding how to lead teams to accept the change that comes with the technology. Because technology is great, but we work with humans that would rather be miserable sometimes because they
That's
don't.
very true. It's very true.
Well, this is how I will use my MBA knowledge. And from MBA school, there is a simple formula and a simple way to integrate technology. It's really, I used it myself and I loved it. I love that. It's called change management. So how
Okay.
do you do change management? When you bring a change management, you have to understand that when we want the technology to stick, we have to follow specific steps. Number one, we have to identify the problem to make sure it is a problem. It's a pain
Right.
point. So, what problem do we have? Not just in our head as a leader, but can we articulate this problem? Can we measure that problem? Do our teams feel this burning problem as well? Because if they don't, they may not agree to that change. So we have to have some kind of agreement that it is a burning problem, and before we bring that solution. So number one, identify the problem. What is your burning problem? Is your team, can you communicate it to the team? Do you have the numbers to prove that problem? That's number one. That's number one. Number two, have enough time to educate your team on the best implementation and the best solution. And number
Yes.
three, only use one solution at a time. You may be motivated to go ahead and solve every burning problem. It doesn't work like that with humans. Humans cannot adjust to too many changes. They need to too many changes. They need one change, one implementation per 90 days. So have one burning problem, get your team on board, give them the training, and have a one problem that you solving in the next 90 days. So bring only one AI agent on one AI solution that solves the biggest burning problem for you and try that. Measure it. Get a feedback from your team. And when you're ready to go, when you have accepted that technology, when it has become integrated in your office, high five, celebrate, and say, good job, we
Yep.
did it. What is going to be our next problem to solve? Now you're getting everybody on board, not being afraid of being replaced, but now they're feeling supported, included, and they're implementing together with you instead of resisting that change. And that's how we solve technology integration problems.
I call that buy-in, Kathryn, and it's so true. If if you have a problem and you can identify that the team has the same problem, then when the problem goes away, everybody's happy.
Got
And
it.
you're absolutely right. You know, one of the other things you brought up that I really wanted to give you some kudos for is you mentioned several times about let the AI do this, or let the AI, then you would say with supervision. And I think that's so important. People, I think they're going to be replaced, or they think that, oh, this is could be a huge problem solver. It can be, but it's also not going to take over the world. It's not that good. And I love the idea of keeping the humans in the loop, having your Becky review the insurance information and that sort of thing, but not having to create it. Um, letting your front desk not have to answer the phone, but also learning from the phone calls if they have to, all that sort of thing of monitoring and keeping a human in the loop. I love that. And I think that's just
Oh,
so
yeah,
critical, the success of this.
and I have to add to it, it's not, it's going to be required. It's going to be compliance requirement because, and again, this is something that comes from studying agentic AI, studying AI agents, but really it has to be, we call it continuous monitoring, which
Hmm.
means you have to have a human in a loop and human in a loop for all AI functions. We have to evaluate it. We have to give it a score, and we have to know that our AI is doing a good job. So this is something that it's not even, we don't talk about it, but it's going to be a requirement. Hey, you bring in an AI, and an AI in a healthcare legally has to have a human oversight to make sure it is trained, it's
Yep.
not hallucinating, because we are dealing with the privacy and we're dealing with
Yes,
health histories and private information. And so because of that, it's wait till the requirements come out, but it's going to be requirements that human has to be involved and be in a loop to evaluate AI agents that we're working with.
that's great. Well, we are bumping up against a little over an hour, Kathryn, so I'm going to wrap us up. But thank you so much. This has been a fascinating discussion on some actual practical, real world stuff that can actually change a practice for the better. And I know that people are going to get a lot out of this. Before we end up though, tell me, how can people find you if they want to talk to you about this?
I'm a very social creature because I love humans. As I said, I love to support humans. You can literally find me on Facebook, Instagram, and
Okay.
LinkedIn, and on Intelligent Care Alliance. Intelligent Care Alliance is an agency that I run, and you can visit the website and click a link, schedule with me, and I would be more than glad to do a free consultation on how I can help dentists to live their best lives and how to incorporate AI in their offices. I would love to do that.
Oh, thank you very much, Kathryn. I've really enjoyed
Pleasure.
this.
My thank you to you, and I'm really honored to be here. And I'm grateful to you for inviting me. And thank you so much. My pleasure.
Well, I'm so glad we met in Florida because that led to this incredible encounter. So, everybody, uh, thanks for watching. I hope you got as much out of this as I did. Until our next episode, this is the Technology Evangelist Podcast. I'm Dr. John Fluke, Technology Evangelist. We are brought to you by Medidenta Digital, and we are super grateful for that support. Thank you all very much for watching. We'll see you soon.